complete it. And she kept saying, well, why is this so hard for me to complete? And she was told it's because we have not, if you like, finished our evolving, as they say.
I feel that these drawings are for individual interpretation, and my interpretation is just one of many. Every time I show these drawings to someone, I find that they have their own feelings and their own connection to certain symbols within the drawings. I'm just giving you an example of some of the messages and some of the things that I have been told, and some of the things that I feel are relevant to do with these. Initially, when I first did these drawings, I felt that they were important, but there was a part of me that was very skeptical and felt that they were just symbols, they were just ordinary drawings, and in a way they are. But after showing people, I've realised that there is more to it, and especially because they're related to my AT experiences. And it took me quite a while, it took me 2 years to fully realise this, and also realise that I wasn't going crazy and that there is a real reality with this. And now that I have this confidence with them, I realise that it's very important for these drawings and some of the messages that they have within them to get them out to a wider audience and for people to be able to see them around the world. And I know a lot of other people have similar drawings and symbols and words and visions that come to them. It's about honouring that and validating that, because even though we live in a physical world, there is much more to it than meets the eye, and there are other aspects that we need to look into with that.
So now we get to the crop circles. But just to remind you that what Tracy's saying is that she's bringing through complex symbols that are helping to awaken us to a greater reality. And that what she wants to do with a lot of her drawings is actually put them onto computers so that we can see them in a sort of more multi-dimensional way. But we get to another gentleman that also talks about the crop circles, and the reason I brought Freddie Silver in Secrets of the Field is that he's talking about the crop circles too, and he says, could it be by implication that crop circles are a universal language? Because one of the interesting things I found that he was talking about, these are also connected to ancient sites, as you've already seen from what Janet's talking about. But underneath these sites is another fact that is interesting for any of you know about water and the memory of water, is that there are huge water aquifers. And he believes that a lot of these impressions, the sacred geometry, actually goes into the memory of water, which is taken all over the planet. That's an interesting one for you to think about. Tracy also took one of her drawings, which she put onto transparency, to Egypt last year. And this is what she said: I just knew I had to take it. Even from a distance, when I reached Luxor and saw this hieroglyph, she said I could tell that it would fit. I had just a strong feeling I needed to take it. And she again had a most amazing feeling when she did this. Now, what is the likelihood of a young lady who drew the symbol, probably about 96 I was shown it, actually having something that fits so accurately in its dimensions onto something so ancient as the pyramids? And we see a connection to Egypt, also in the crop circles, which you've seen in Janet's wonderful presentation. And this was a picture by Peter Sorensen. But look again, that we're being reminded, we're being told things, and as Janet says, they're not that subtle. More of these wonderful images. And again, Tracy believes that hers are act in a similar way. And if you look at this one Tracy's done, that in the centre looks very much like some of those images, I believe. Let's get back to dear old Australia. We have some interesting things happen here, don't we? This came to my attention only a couple of weeks, well, probably about 3 weeks ago now. This happened in Queensland, north of Brisbane, when I was over there giving a presentation to Nexus. And the interesting story with this is I'm just going to try and show you what is actually happening on the planet. All over the world, we're getting some really interesting phenomena. And this particular light was taken as I say, north of Brisbane, and the light was 5 metres tall, and the lady who took it said that there was no obvious light source. But what I can tell you about this valley is that where this light was very close to was an Aboriginal sacred site where they used to do marriage ceremonies. And also that an Aboriginal elder 2 days before had said something very strange was going to happen in 2 days hence, when this light appeared. And what happened was that there was a fire in this paddock. Can you see it all? Just below the rainbow down here. Look at the image itself. Perhaps you can all see it now. I hope you can. And the fire, apparently, went in swirls, as a 17-year-old daughter described it. And when the fire was over, that was the image that you saw. And I don't know about you, but if I can get a fire to behave itself like this, I'd be really impressed. How can a fire just burn some of the paddock and not some of the other of it? Look at the lines. I don't know how to do it. If any of you do, please tell me. But it's even more spooky than that. What was interesting about this is the next night, the mother of this young lady took the picture of the night sky. Well, it was just getting to be night time. She thought it was a clear sky until she downloaded the photograph, and what she saw in the sky was this. This is now a valley where she's doing her own research now. I've got her really excited. And she's finding out that not only a neighbour has seen strange things in the sky, but so are a lot of people in the valley. And sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 of them have actually seen these lights, or UFOs as we like to call them, in the sky. But what was even more fascinating, a day later, a Channel 7 chopper landed just by this image. As you can see it just there. And this lady was so excited. She said, "You've seen the fire circle," she said. And he said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "You've seen the fire circle." She said, "That's where you've landed, isn't it?" And he said, "No." He said, all my equipment went funny. He said, my meters go really odd. He said, and I must be out of fuel. But what's this fire circle? Now, for some of you, you may know that a lot of these particular energy centres and crop circles actually have a strange energy in them. And this energy can affect electronic equipment. And what I would just like to offer you is that we know, certainly in England, the BBC crew had a £50,000 camera that got completely ruined by trying to take images inside a crop circle. And all I could say is that I think it's really interesting that a Channel 7 helicopter landed exactly by this strange image, or as she called it, a fire circle. And we had the strange light that reminded us about it. More crop circles. This one's taken by Ellis Taylor in England near Oxford. He was the first to take the picture. And he loves them. He's another experiencer, and some of you may remember Ellis. He used to live here in WA up to a couple of years ago. And the image on the body of the lion being is actually him. Now, when he took this picture, he couldn't see anything in the sky at all. But when he actually printed it out, he noticed this. What we're seeing here is the camera, of course, seems to pick up things that the naked eye does not see on a more multidimensional level, I would say. And I found it happened again. This one is in America. A beautiful lady allowed me to use this to show you. She was in a crop circle. She said, "I felt like we were being watched and I got really freaked out. And I said to my husband, 'Let's get out of here.' And before she actually left it, she took a picture of the crop circle and the nice clear blue sky. But when she printed it out, look what the camera caught. Really interesting. And there's a little bit to this that she did tell me that I'll share with you. She went to the doctor the next day because she didn't feel very well. And she said what really freaked her is she was waiting to see the doctor. All of a sudden she found she could see through the wall. And she really thought something was wrong. Fortunately, it didn't last very long. So obviously something for a short while actually affected her quite profoundly. Now I'm going to talk about a gentleman again. This is northern Queensland near Cairns. It's a story we're still investigating, but what I will show you, this orb here was seen by a gentleman who was driving home